Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grip Block, Foundation Disc Golf Weekly Podcast. I'm Hunter, joined as always by Trevor and Konner.
Hey.
We've got quite the show going over the Dynamic Discs Open. A lot of
the
storylines.
Dynamic Drama Open.
A lot of storylines from this event.
Kinda.
We'll update the Manufacturers Cup. We'll do a little Trevor's Trivia, and then we're going to do a top 10 update.
Or will we?
We will this time. I didn't plan anything after Trevor's Trivia specifically to make sure we got the top 10. And then we'll do the Silas Selects that Silas has totally selected so far. Right, Silas? Right, Silas?
Silas. Will you
We
go
forgot
select?
to say the Silas Select. We don't need it for like an hour, but just be on your toes. Hours go by quick in this office.
Heck yeah, dude.
But before we get into today's episode, I want to take a moment to thank the sponsor, us. Today's episode is brought to you by Foundation Care. So if you don't know what Foundation Care is, basically it is now included on every purchase made in the USA over at FoundationDisc.com and at our Lynchburg storefront. It covers your disc for 30 days. So what this means is when you shop with us, if you live in the United States and you shop with us over at FoundationDisc.com and you buy that brand new Latitude 64 Brave, and you're like, man, I really hope this does blah, 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 blah to my game, and you spend, $25 on it, before, that's an intimidating purchase, right? Because what if it doesn't flip? What if it flips too much? What if it's crazy overstable?
Yep.
What if you just don't like how it feels? Who knows? Now you're screwed. You're out $25, right?
Yes.
Wrong. That's where you're wrong, sir, because with
Stupid
Foundation
Trevor.
Care, all you got to
Dang
do
it.
is go to our site, scroll to the bottom. There's a little Foundation Care form. You click on it. You fill it out. You don't even have to have a reason for return. You just... I thought Silas might have just died over there.
Holy cow.
You don't even have to have a reason. You just let us know what disc you want to send back, and you can exchange it for any other new disc on the site.
You'd be like, my tummy hurt, and we'll exchange it.
Yeah. And we'll send you a paid-for shipping label. No worries. You send it right back. You exchange it. New disc will be shipped to you. You have 30 days to use it, abuse it, however you want. Again, you just shop at FoundationDisc.com or at our Lynchburg storefront, and as long as you live in the U.S., it's already included.
Holy
it's
cow,
already
that was
covered.
fast.
Wow. And it's in a Mott's assorted fruit. I think that means it's a Clash disc. We'll get back to it later.
Whoa.
What's a disc that you guys would have used Foundation Care on? I have one.
I would have kept getting destroyers until one flew the way I wanted.
I definitely would have, when the Berg first came out,
Yeah.
definitely would have bought it had Foundation Care existed.
I probably would have.
Because I would have been like, everyone says this doesn't have glide, let me try
Gotcha.
it.
But you didn't want to commit to just buying it.
Yeah, no. And I'm glad I didn't, because I don't like the Berg.
There you go.
Mine is like I was
You would've
looking
been cared for.
I was
Yeah.
looking for a disc to replace like my flippy fairway, and I bought a Heat, and the Heat is a really, really good disc. So this is like a good opportunity for Foundation Care, but it wouldn't stay in my hand. It's like the way it felt in my hand, it wouldn't stay in my hand long enough for me to throw it the right way. So I definitely would have used Foundation Care on that bad boy.
There you go. Well, this past weekend we had the Dynamic Discs Open. The
go,
results, we had
DDO.
Calvin Heimberg taking it down.
Sir,
Gannon,
I like to call it the glass blown open.
that's fine too. Gannon Burr coming second, Gavin Rathbun in third. And then on FPO side, you had Missy Gannon edging out Haley King in a playoff. And then Emily Weatherman coming in third place. So let's talk FPO here first. Missy Gannon took down her second event of the year. This one happened to be in a playoff over Haley King. Not really a surprise, I don't think, to see Missy Gannon taking this down.
No.
When you consider especially the loss of Kristen Tatar, Evelina Solin, and Hannah Blomroos to back to Europe.
Yep.
Owen Scoggins was the other player that kind of had expectations going on her this weekend. She didn't really perform to those expectations. She still played fine.
I'd say
but
Holland also had some expectations.
Holland did as well, and Holland
She did okay. She
flashed
lost
up
by
the
2.
leaderboard, but ended up just not doing it in the final round. But yeah, like I said, no surprise to see Missy Gannon. She was one of the people that was on everyone's lips going into the season or going into this event. And she's been having a really solid season this far. Really, the only blemish on her season is a 22nd place at Jonesboro. But other than that, like we said, she has a U.S. women's title. She has a major win now and a Pro Tour win. And yeah, it's just good showing from Missy Gannon.
Absolutely. Yeah, Missy has been solid this year. I expect her. It's interesting, I feel like she doesn't usually get off to this quick of a start, especially in the win category, because she has the major, right? She has U.S. women's.
Sorry, yes, sir.
Right, yeah. So she's got a major and an elite series, which is, already a great resume. And, Kristen, does Kristen have 3 or 4 elite series?
Let's take a look,
I think
shall
she
we?
has 3. Because if she only has 3, then, you could say, they have pretty identical resumes. Honestly, in some people's book, you would give the major champion the nod there. I can't remember if she.
My
has a
Wi-Fi
fourth,
decided
though.
just to stop working.
No, how are we
Yeah.
gonna do our top 10? Man,
Here we go. She's back. She's back.
We'd be
She's back.
toast if we can't do it. Does she have 3 or 4?
Kristen Tatar has
She
a
might
win
have
at
4.
Waco. She has a win at Play It Again and win at Music City. 3.
Okay, so she just has 3. So that's what I'm saying. Like Missy Gannett so far has like in theory held pace with Kristen Tatar. Is that going to happen the whole year for her to like be able to win Player of the Year? I don't know, but hey, right now Kristen's overseas. Like this is her chance. Like if she could, get some more because I don't think we're going to see Kristen for a little bit, right?
No,
Yeah.
we won't really see any of the European players for a little bit.
Right? Because I mean, are they just staying in Europe?
Well, actually, we'll see him at the Copenhagen, which is the next event, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, but I mean, as far as like the
I don't know when-
because like I don't think
Let's look
think
at her
she's gonna be in
registered
Portland.
events.
I don't think she's gonna.
She comes back from Beaver State. Yeah, Portland Open.
Oh, okay, so she's just taking.
Oh,
a
she's
short
actually
trip.
just not even. She's not even playing over there.
Oh,
which
so
is
she was
interesting.
just taking a break.
She
She
just
wasn't
took a
doing.
break.
She wasn't doing like the long European.
No.
Just like okay.
Yeah, because
Oh,
also
sorry,
what is
Missy Gannon.
the?
Bad news for Missy Gannon then.
That's interesting. So I guess the Copenhagen is. What is I'm reading that right? That's COP. What else would that be? What is Missy Gannon's next registered event?
Well,
Am I
that's
missing one?
that
Yeah,
happens.
OTB's the next.
That's because it happens during the off week before OTB.
Okay, but I'm just confused. It's a full Pro Tour event or it's a silver? I
There's
think
no
there's
silvers.
silvers. No, there's events. There's
Oh, the European
silvers.
events are silvers. That's right. Gosh,
Yeah.
man, it's hard to keep up. So they put them on that.
So you
thing, I
still
guess.
have them on here.
Yeah.
Hate that.
I forget. So that's funny. The only silver events now are in Europe.
yeah, but like,
Crazy
why does
stuff.
that
That's
even?
crazy.
Why is that even listed on here?
Well, I mean,
anyways,
I thought Missy was gonna have a longer.
no.
period
So
of time.
Kristen, as
She
of
won't.
right now, will be back May 30th. So basically, you'll just have OTB Open
Well,
is
hey,
the only one that's being missed.
Point still stands though. Missy has held pace with Kristen so far. Got a major under her belt. If you get that second major and there's only 2 left to play for the women. So like if Missy's able to win one of those 2, then Kristen's going to need a lot of other Elite Series wins to overcome that resume. And I mean, Missy winning Player of the Year this year. I mean, I'm way ahead of myself, but that would just be crazy.
Well, Missy Gannon, as it sits right now, is actually in 4th in the Pro Tour standings, which obviously isn't always the Player of the
Yeah, I
Year
mean, that's
determiner, but
malarkey.
because you got to look at Evelina Salonen, also has a Pro Tour win and a major win.
that's a good point.
And has this
Yeah, that's a good
overall
point.
just a little bit better season overall
Yeah.
if you're looking at it. So she's in the lead right now at 778 points.
Yeah.
Kristen's in second at 743, and then
true.
Owen Scoggins is ahead of Missy at 731. But her only win being the Open at Austin.
Hey, say what you want about, and the last 2 FPO events have had great finishes in parity, so that's been awesome. But say what you want about the beginning of the season and like the events not being super close, but the win totals have been pretty exciting. I mean, having 3 players with like very on pace resumes this far into the season is great, and I hope they can keep it up.
Yeah, now the player who, would have been an obvious pick coming into this event, except for her consistent inconsistency, is Haley King.
Yeah.
So she was right back at it in this event again. And every time I watch Haley and she's playing good, it frustrates me because I'm like, why don't you do this every week?
Yeah.
Well, okay, well, here the funny thing about Haley's game is like I've also been in that crowd and said that, but I'm starting to think I just say that because she has really nice form. But
Yeah.
like, unfortunately, having nice form doesn't always produce just good golf, and I don't know that she just like even when she is like winning tournaments and like playing like at in this one she was in contention, she still throws some real head scratching shots.
But she just has like a
But she has
really
nice
good
form.
backhand and
That's
a
what
really
I'm-
good forehand.
That's what I'm saying. It hypnotizes you, I think, because
Well, let me ask you
you
this.
watch it and you're like, she's got like the best form out
When
there.
you see the player that you saw this weekend, do you think that she should be capable of finishing outside the top 33 times this year?
outside the top 33 times.
'Cause
No,
she
of
has.
course not. Of
she
course
came
not.
32nd
I
at
don't get
Champions
that.
Of course
Cup,
not.
32nd at USWDGC, and 42nd at
She's gonna hurt, man.
chess.com.
Back off.
But she goes 42nd at chess, and then she goes 4th at Waco.
Yeah.
Then she goes 32nd at USWDGC. Then she goes 10th at Play It Again, Jonesboro. Then she goes 4th at Music City. Then she goes 32nd at Champions Cup, and then she's in a playoff
That
here.
is so crazy.
I think she's in a. I
That's
think
so
she's at a
crazy.
point in her game right now where.
If she was a roller coaster ride, you'd get thrown off her G-forces going up and down that much.
There you go. I think she's at a point right now where she is playing like the golf that she's playing. She needs to just try and dial in like a consistent. I don't know, like Missy Gannon. Say what you want about her game, but like her misses are usually pretty safe, and she just knows how to get the disc in play and have like this consistent right in front of her like dead straight release over and over and over again. She doesn't try to do anything fancy. Like Haley King, I think it's difficult when you're capable of the shots that she is. I think that's what we see out of some of the upper level. I think that's what got to Paige, honestly. Some of these players that are capable of more advanced and extreme shots and further flying shots in the FPO division, I think sometimes that gets them a bit because you don't need them to win out there. You know, Missy Gannon played great golf. You know, I think she did really well C2 and C1 regulation. The putting was fine. It was better than Haley's. I think she led in C1 and C2 in regulation. But, you know, she doesn't do anything fancy out there. She's playing golf to keep the disc in bounds, get up and down when she needs to. Like, it's nothing crazy. And I think Haley sometimes I just feel like I see lapses of concentration too. Like some of the shots, and we'll get into, you know, maybe the breakdown, but like her approach on 18 there to like that is an unexcusable mistake. Wide open hyzer, wind is down. You have acres of space,
just
leaving it short. Like that's what I'm saying is like I think honestly the mistakes I see Haley make more than any other player in FPO are mental errors and just not thinking through the shots enough. Being like there's just not a world where you can throw that disc short. And I know she wishes she could have that back and is probably thinking the same thing. Like how did I just do that? But like that thing needs to be like landing at the basket or beyond it. Because at least if you go long, you have those rocks to hit into.
Yep. There's
nothing short. So like I just couldn't even believe that. And you just see shots like that. And then, you know, she saws off the one in the playoff on 17. You know, goes OB on that hole as well. And like there was just like mistakes that just kept piling up where I was just like, these are just like lapses in concentration and just shots that are like, you know, I don't want to use myself as an example, but like there are some times where you throw a shot and you look back at it and you're like, if I had just focused a little more, like the miss is so severe that if you had just at least focused a little more, you may have still missed your shot, but not in a way that was going to punish you that brutally. And sometimes the misses out of her IC, I'm just like, man, like I just don't like, did that disc just slip out of her hand or was she just not, you know, getting in the moment enough and really thinking through her shot and her release? That's what it comes down to. I mean, she has all the talent. We've been saying this forever, and it's just over and over. You know, she has plenty of talent. I still think her putting is very streaky, and that holds her back. I think she lost strokes to the field putting.
She did.
Yeah. So her putting is not quite there. But I think if she could just learn how to play a cleaner game, you know, and she's not the player that Simon Lizotte was. I wouldn't make them a direct comparison either. But, you know, it's kind of a similar idea where it's like, maybe just dial in the game a little bit, try and just smooth the disc out there and see what happens. But I also know she's struggling with some injuries. I don't know what's completely going on, but man.
I just remember whenever we filmed that video with Haley King a long time ago, years ago. And I remember thinking a similar thing that I thought whenever we filmed videos with Gannon a long time ago, which is like, wow, this person is going to be like a top player, like
she's
pretty
super
soon
talented.
here.
Super
because
talented.
just
Very
watching
athletic.
her throw, I mean, I think we filmed at Sandusky, and it's just like she was just throwing so
Golf
many
can
like
be a
really
weird
good
game,
forehands and just really good. She just played really well.
It'd be a weird game.
The interesting thing, first off, for our headphone users, they're going to kill you if you keep slapping the table. Been some comments.
Did
about
I do
it
it just now?
Yeah, you talk with your hands a lot,
Oh.
which is a great thing.
Okay.
But with these mics, not a great thing. So
Oh,
just,
sorry, guys.
You're welcome,
Sorry, guys.
headphone
Keep
users.
it up here, Trevor.
I interpret. Yeah.
Okay.
Interpretive dancing
Yeah.
above your head is good.
Okay,
It
I will
also engages the
I'm sorry.
visual.
Can you give us an example, Trevor?
Yeah, like
It might be better if I just keep them at my side,
works, too.
because I don't think I'll be able to control myself.
really
I'll
wanted
keep
to
my
see-
hands up here.
Fair enough.
But-
Like, so you guys don't want me to do like that?
I'll just like intercept it next time.
Is that what you like this? Is that what you-
We just cause someone to wreck by slapping the table and yelling in their ears while they're driving. If you're driving with headphones on, it's against the law. So take them out, first off.
Good point, Hunter. Yeah.
Secondly, I'm sorry that we just caused you to wreck. I hope you're okay.
but you deserve
But
it.
you just
I didn't say that. Looking at Haley King, though, I think that when I almost group Haley into a similar but different game, as you see Holland Hanley, I think, falls into this trap some, and Ella Hansen, where
There's a
when
bunch
they
of 'em.
are capable of the distance and stuff, it almost lures them into biting off more than like Missy Gannon just sometimes doesn't have the distance to even be tempted by what a Haley King or a Holland Hanley or them can be. But the
Sometimes it's
interesting
good.
thing here is Haley King led the field in 3 stat categories, whereas Missy Gannon led in 0.
Oh, she didn't lead in any.
Didn't lead in a single one. Haley King also gained 6 strokes tee to green on Missy Gannon, only lost 3 on the putting green, but she lost an additional 4 to OB strokes, which was big out here, taking 12 OB, whereas Missy Gannon took 8. Also, if you're on the PDGA site and you're wondering why they don't have OB, like I have multiple times, you just got to scroll sideways. It's there.
Oh, that's funny.
Because I was like, how do they not have OB? That's so important. And I scrolled.
I think on my monitor, it's big enough that it just shows up.
Oh, now we're going to flex your monitor size.
Not even mine.
Wow.
Just borrowing it.
Unbelievable. But the other thing that I'm a little confused on, this is a complete side note, is Haley King gained C1X's. She lost 1.9 strokes. Okay, Missy Gannon lost 1.6 strokes to the field, right? But Missy Gannon only putted 59%. She went 22 of 37, whereas Haley King went 25 of 38, making 3 more and only 1 more attempt. So how did she lose more in C1X?
Does it depend on what hole you're playing on? Because like if a hole,
well, it shouldn't, right?
If a hole is like averaging a certain amount under par, and
but that shouldn't matter because you're talking C1X putting.
I do not know how they calculate it.
That just doesn't make any sense to me, right?
Well,
like, am I missing something?
I don't know.
Does it confuse you too? Missy Gannon putted 59%. So she went 22 for 37.
Missy Gannon putted worse,
but
gained more strokes to the field C1X putting.
Correct.
Yeah, that doesn't add up to me, Big Hunt.
Because she went 22 of 37, whereas Haley King went 25 of 38.
I don't know how the gain to the field thing, I don't know how they calculate that. So that's where I would, that's what I'm saying. Does it relate to what hole you missed a putt on and how hard that hole was playing to the field? Or
maybe it's like a combination of like circle 1 and regulation. But even Haley King beat her in that.
Stat. Yeah, I don't.
Haley King beat her in that.
Do we need to call for?
I don't know. I just was looking at
answers?
that and I thought it was interesting.
We need to figure it out.
Back to the notes here. The other more surprising thing on the leaderboard was the performance of Emily Weatherman. Not a name that you've probably heard before.
Sure
if you did, the only time you would have was Texas State's when she came in 8th. But I hadn't heard her name before. That's her only finish inside the top 20 before this was Texas State's in 8th. She has been touring this year. Just has been kind of all over the place. Just not really been consistently towards the top, but she looked very solid out there. Her putt looked very good. She didn't really seem to get too nervy. I think she had Robert Burridge on the bag, funny enough, which that might have helped her. But she's been touring, so I don't think that she needed to adapt a tour. But what is unfortunate is she had one of the closest OB calls on 18 that ended up, we didn't know this at the time it was made, but it ended up keeping her out of the playoff. Had it went her way, she would have been in this playoff. We only had one camera angle.
Wasn't good.
You don't know because we only had it from down the line to the side. But it was one of the closest I've ever seen because obviously the line is OB
all over it,
and it was all the way across the line, touching the very end of the line. So you just couldn't quite tell. Does the lip come over by even a millimeter to make her inbounds?
The problem with this one is obviously since we weren't there, it can't you have to get on top of this thing to have to be able to make claims about it. So really the conversation only can be about what surrounds this circumstance. And we know this, paint is a terrible marker of out of bounds, right? This is why it's a bad marker of out of bounds because you can have stuff like this happen when you've got blades of grass going every which way, and it's do I see one white blade of grass on this side of the disc or not? It's kind of crazy. And then number 2, the idea of self-officiating. I think this was an interesting one because obviously she was on chase card, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and so the people that are playing with her now, they're all competing for cash, and that's important. But it's not like she was on lead card where it was, they're looking very much directly at her as the competition to win at that point. But it seems like all the competitors go up and very quickly call it out of bounds. It didn't seem.
They thought about it for.
It was a little bit,
but we were also watching it cut together where we were watching lead card, and then we don't know how much of what was going on they showed us.
And my thing is, I don't looking at it. If looking at it from the angle I looked at it, if somebody told me you have to make a call, I probably would have called it out because I just can't. I can see that the disc is laying mostly, the edge is laying mostly on the painted line, and I can't tell if on the other side. So I would probably have to say it's out. But I think the biggest thing is, I don't know. It's a weird one with the self-efficient because she made a case for it. and the players around her pretty quickly shut it down. And I would just be curious to know, like, I just can't really get in on this because I couldn't see the disc. Like, was the case that she was making for it being in, like, did she see grass? And, like, if I had looked at it, could I see, oh, there was a reason? Or was it, because it could also be, and I don't want to, like, this is all speculation, but it also could be a case where she was desperately trying to get a call, brought something up on a whim. Like, you see that blade of grass, and all three of the people were like, no, come on now, that's out. Like, that absolutely could be the case.
It seemed like a lot more conversation than that. From what I remember, they showed us at least a minute of back and forth.
To me, it just seemed like,
which was pretty
regardless
long.
of the back and forth, it just seemed like the players that were calling it out were sure that it was out. They didn't seem like, I don't know, because like if there's uncertainty, you feel like that's when you get an official involved.
Terry Miller seemed like he was very unsure which way.
Yeah, well,
and he was right on top of it.
Well, he was standing like 5-6 feet. That's what I'm saying. Like,
but he got right up on it when
did?
Because
Okay.
he immediately was like, I don't know, that's gonna be very close to call. And then they cut away, and they came back when the whole group was there, and he was like holding his mic and looking, and then.
Yeah.
To me, because if I'm in the opposite boat, if I, from the angle we had, was forced to call it one way or another, I would have called it in because there wasn't enough convincing evidence to prove otherwise.
Well, you
And
could
then-
say
You couldn't prove it either way.
Okay,
So if I can't prove it either way, the rules go, if it's very uncertain, right, then I would have said I'll leave it to the card mates, and everyone should have, and then it would have been benefit to the player at that point. Because there's not 100%.
If the card mates are uncertain.
Yeah,
right.
yes.
Yeah.
Me being uncertain doesn't mean benefit to the player.
That's why.
But to me, it wasn't clear enough that I could have made a call.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah, I said if I had to make a call, I get that line of thinking, I guess. And like I said, I have
Because like
no
if it's
idea.
not clear enough for me to make a call, then it should have been. I would have just been like, I don't know, I can't make a call. And if everyone said that, it's inbounds.
I would just be. That's why I'd want to know what it looked like because you would think if there wasn't something like they must have seen white on the other side of the disc, like white paint.
But that's what also
for them
sucks.
all to be like, which I know and understand that is still ridiculous that like blades of grass.
I was gonna say because we just bend it,
getting
and
bent in
then
a certain direction. Like it is still that is the root of this thing is like if you had a line of string, this would have been a much easier call.
Oh yeah, there's
the paint thing stinks, but like I don't know. The fact that they were all willing to make the call, I don't know.
It even could have been. One person might have said, I don't know. She obviously would have said for it. So then if the other two are like against it, that's all it takes.
Yeah, I'd have to watch it back.
Because like if the one
I know
person
I saw
said,
multiple players be like, yeah, it's out, but I didn't.
yeah.
I don't.
Well, it had to be the majority for it to move on. I definitely would have liked. You're on 18. Tournament director's got to be close, or at least a marshal. I would have at least liked an official to come over, only because like. We're talking the difference in this case. At that time, it seemed like the difference between second and third.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know Haley King was going to bogey. Hole 18, I think this was going down while they... I'm trying to remember exactly when it was going down, but it didn't feel like it was make or break for her in the playoff at that exact moment.
No.
But I still would have liked it to have an official. But looking back, this was the difference between her being in this aggregate playoff with Missy and Haley and her not. And you really would have liked it an official to have made that call for that reason alone. Is at least then there is no bias because
right. Well,
there is a difference. You don't know for 100% certainty what went on the rest of the round, as if because there could have been the opposite way where it could have been a pretty clearly out, but everyone's best friends and they're like, oh, we'll give it to you, it's in, which is also wrong.
Even if you have an official, there still can be bias, but at least when it's an official, it's a lot less messy because you can look to the official instead of having the environment of the self-officiating is always going to be weird, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to have a lot of times you're going to fight this conviction to make a call on somebody with the fact that you're friends with them. And then what if I make this call, the problem is I know these other two girls aren't going to really be fair about it because they don't like there is a lot of dynamics going on. So the official, regardless if that official is the biggest Emily Weatherman fan ever and he is going to show bias, at least at that point,
it's on someone else.
Nobody really knows about that, and it's on somebody else. It gets it out of the playing field and takes that responsibility off of them. Because, and here I am. I'm touching the table again. You guys got to do better at that.
I warned you. That's all I could do.
Trevor,
you got to remind me. It's a
Trevor,
habit.
no.
Yeah, come on now. You know
Can we make the table shock?
Habits.
No,
can't
make the table
be-
sticky. So if his hands go down, it's just
They
super
stay
glue.
down.
And you
Habits.
can't.
You guys ever read Atomic Habits? You
Yeah.
can't destroy them with one warning. you've got to beat me.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what it
That
says
is
in the book.
I don't remember that part.
That's what it says in the book. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, here's the thing.
I mean, if Trevor touches the table and I just deck him,
No, I deserve it. I
Smack
think
him.
you
Just
should.
smack him.
I think there should be pain associated. I believe in that. I think you
Let's
can
just
get
give-
all.
Can we give Konner an airsoft gun?
Yes.
You touch the table, just
Shoot me right in the
We
leg.
sure
just kneecap
can.
me. You can say what you want about the OB call though the whole
Yeah.
time, but at the end of the day, she did throw a bad shot.
Yes.
It was very bad, sawed off. Skipped up the hill. So when you're a player, and I would hope that Emily, is a player that would look back at that and be like, you know what, tough break, but at the end of the day, you got to put the disc in the fairway.
Yeah,
Like,
if the disc is 2 inches closer to the fairway, doesn't even matter.
I mean, when you put it on the line like that,
Also, still a big moment for her career because still top 3 at a Pro Tour event.
great finish.
So realistically, she might have made the aggregate playoff and finished in the exact same spot she was in.
It's true.
Could have happened. So
True.
it doesn't matter. Now let's talk about this playoff. What did you think about doing the aggregate playoff style here?
So I saw a lot of people. This is a very controversial topic in golf because I saw a lot of people. Robbie C texted me right after and was like, "Debate night topic. Why would anybody ever want aggregate playoff?"
Interesting. Okay.
I think here. Let me read his exact quote. I don't want to do him injustice. Just know, Robbie. Whenever you text me, it's on the record. Debate night topic. In what world is going to an aggregate playoff better than sudden death? So that to me
In this world, to me.
that sounds like he is. So the first time I ever even heard of the aggregate playoffs is the PGA Championship and the Open Championship both employ aggregate playoffs. And the PGA just recently started doing it, I believe. I think the Open's done a little longer. But there are a couple schools of thought to this. Number one, the good thing about this is a playoff is the most. We talk about trying to extend the drama on 18, right? Because it's the most pinnacle, exciting moment. It's the climax of the event. So the playoff is like that times 2, and now we're taking that, we're stretching it across 3 holes.
Okay.
Now, what is the danger of the playoff? The danger of the 3-hole playoff is that you can basically turn a close finish into a not close finish especially if the first hole goes really bad for a certain player. Now, let me give you another huge pro for the aggregate playoff. If you're a course that has a really awesome lineup of holes and you're like, you can set your playoff lineup however you want, but if it's sudden death, you might not get to them. Now you get to showcase different holes with different parts of your game. And a good example is this course has a pretty good hole 18 and a good hole 16, and you get to use them both. So I think that is a huge pro for this is you do get to use you show off more of your course. But like I said, I think the only con in my mind, and people get really obsessed with the sudden death thing, and it is exciting. It is. One sudden movement could end the tournament. But sudden death too can be over really fast. So I think that this playoff does work. I think the only con is the idea that the first hole especially goes super poorly, and then you're just playing 2 holes that aren't super meaningful, but even that isn't super likely.
Well, this is why I loved it for this event is because we've seen playoffs here before, and the tough part is you want to use hole 16 in the playoff, right? So
Yeah.
you send it there first.
With going first. is
First
your
person
advantage.
goes in the water. Second person sticks on the island. It's over.
Right.
And just like that, it's all deflated.
Yeah.
It's done. With this hole 16 and in an aggregate playoff, the biggest stroke separation you could really have is a 2 to a 4
Yeah.
because why would you run that putt in an aggregate playoff, right? There's still 2 holes to play that are very tough.
Yeah.
So it's far from over.
Which, speaking of putts, we got to talk about that Missy putt on
Yes.
16.
Yes.
Holy cow.
But yeah, I
think you're on the
personally,
right track.
As soon as I heard aggregate playoff, I said, "This is perfect. I love this."
I think
because
you're on the right track.
guaranteed. Because even down to hole 18, right? How it ended up working out is you had them both birdie hole 16.
Yeah.
Then you had Missy birdie, Haley bogey hole 17. So there's 2 strokes going to 18. Not over.
No.
Not over at all because you had possible OB drive, and then you had someone could have went for it, someone could have not. We
Yeah.
just saw Haley King bogey hole 18. If Missy Gannon would have bogeyed to Haley's birdie,
Yeah.
then you go to the sudden death after that, and we would have went back to hole 16 with it. So to me, this played out perfectly, and the only way it wouldn't have is if it would have went bogey to birdie, back to back, and it's 4 strokes into
Right.
18. Then it would have been over. But at least then you have 18 as the finishing green, so you're not finishing on 17 and half the gallery walked, half the gallery didn't, whatever.
I think you're totally right. I think what happened was they were like, we want 16 to be featured, but the drama ends too quickly, almost most of the time.
Yeah.
So they're like, how do we feature 16 as a playoff hole, but keep the drama going. So I think that's exactly right. And yeah, I like it. I think sudden death, like I don't want them all to be aggregate playoffs.
No.
I think it's something you sprinkle in and you do it at the right courses, right? Because if this was the Open at Austin or some course that maybe isn't full of iconic holes that we really want to see in a playoff, then just do the sudden death, especially when daylight comes into play. That's when it's like, okay, we really need to do sudden death. But like imagine going to USDGC and the playoff is like you play like 17, like you can grab 5 or something, or you go 17 then 1, like you grab multiple iconic holes that are really exciting and pair them together. I do think it is very interesting, and it's especially interesting too when you have more than 2 people in a playoff, because then you get even like this like mini,
like if Emily,
mini round of disc golf.
If Emily Weatherman would have been there, it'd been electric. But yeah, no. So during the normal round, you had the whole lead card miss the island, if I remember correctly. They all go. Well, no, Lisa Fakis threw the layup shot.
Yeah, Fakis laid up.
Lisa threw the layup shot, which was a whole different thing. But anyways, they all go to the drop zone, all take 4s. Then you get to the playoff. Missy Gannon does the exact same mistake. Turns the disc too much. I'm like, what is she doing? This time it hyzers back in, gives her a 40-foot death putt at the water. Remember, aggregate playoff. So, was there a reason to run it? Absolutely, you're in a playoff. Was it a must make? No. Haley King gives herself a 25-footer, right? Also on the island, which means also a
we got to
death
talk
putt.
about one other thing. This is something I saw a lot of people talking about on Reddit. On 16 in the playoff, Missy shot, which lands in, not called inbounds by the spotter.
It was called. They didn't know.
They called it, and so Brian was like pretty upset about it because like if you look at it,
it's very clearly in.
It's very, very clearly in. And obviously, by not knowing if it's in or out, is that going to change Haley King's process on the tee? Probably not. Probably not, because she can't risk it, being inbounds and not going for it or anything. But Brian was pretty aggravated with the spotter, and then the spotter actually posted on Reddit and was like, "Hey, I was a spotter." He was like, "We were told if anything was close to not make the decision, stay out of the way, like don't be the hero type thing." And it was funny, like Missy went in there and like was like, "Hey, like thanking the guy, like trying to like cheer him up a little bit." But like it is a tough one. It's a tough one when like, and nobody wants to get called out in the commentary like that.
Well, I think if you're the spotter on that hole, right? Because Missy's disc very clearly inbounds, but was straddling the line, right? Mm-hmm. I've seen this before with spotters where like every call he's had to make so far, and he's not even making the call. Every flag he's showing,
or
probably
lightsaber,
99%, or lightsaber,
yeah,
probably 99% of them that he was showing were this disc is in the water.
Yeah,
this disc is on the island.
Right.
This is probably one of the only ones he's seen where it's straddling, and I think sometimes like either A, they aren't really trained to know that disc is definitely inbounds, or B, it's a panic moment.
I could totally see the panic.
I don't want to wave green and Missy thinks she's in,
Dude,
and then
that.
or like
That
I
would be
wave
way
green
worse.
and then Haley like feels like she has to get like, you don't want to be the cause of that. So you see it and it's like,
Oh, yeah.
you start questioning everything you know.
When you think about
Of,
it
like,
that way,
you know what? I'm gonna just put both up because then I can't be blamed.
Yeah.
If it's out, it's out. If it's in, it's in. I'll let them call.
You're right. When you think about it that way, like how scary it would be making calls in big moments like that, and you're a volunteer spotter. Like, because
like,
if
if a
he
disc-
calls that wrong, it probably ruins the
If
tournament.
a disc splashes in the water, like red. If a disc
right.
is sitting on the green. But like if
Yeah.
it's like half and half, like I'm not. I mean, I would because like I've played disc golf and know I've been a TD enough that like I know that's in. I'm not questioning it.
Yeah.
But like if I'm just a volunteer spotter that this is how I want to watch some disc golf, and all of a sudden I'm making a crucial call in FPO.
in like a really important moment. Like
Yeah,
in a
and I'm on
playoff.
coverage of like
Scary stuff, man.
boop, both
Oh,
up, no
yeah.
chance. Like I'm not calling that.
Keep that lightsaber away.
Well, especially if they told them to like do that if it was close.
Yeah.
Then
And I don't think again aggregate playoff. I don't think it changed Haley's play.
No, it didn't.
You went for the island every time. Like he was
Well,
terrifying
she
to lay
birdied
up.
it, so
Yeah, she also birdied it.
Zero
But I'm
impact
saying
overall.
it's terrifying to do that layup shot that Lisa Fakis did during the round. Like
it
that
is.
was almost more scary. You had to cross the water twice. You had to cross the water to lay up, and then you got to cross the water. Like
I think it's just players who know they have to throw really hard to get to the island.
that's what in the commentary they were saying.
Oh, what do we think about Big Germ on the mic?
We'll get there later.
Okay.
But in the commentary,
oh, you got a whole topic.
yeah, of course I do. In the commentary, because also you had Sarah Hokum on the mic for the first time.
Yes.
I thought she did good. I thought it was Zoe Andyke
We'll get
when
to
I was
that later.
just
We'll
listening.
get to that later.
No, I don't have that topic.
Oh, I thought she did good as well then.
Yeah, I thought it was Zoe Andyke when I was first listening, and then it like cut, and I was
Yeah.
like, why'd they bring Sarah Hokum in? And I was like, oh, that was
People
Sarah
liked
Hokum
her.
I was listening to. the
People
whole time.
liked her, yeah.
She did good, but Yeah, down the stretch, very exciting finish. The final thing we talk about in this playoff was during the playoff on hole 18.
Crazy moment.
We saw Haley King attempt to call a foot fault on Missy Gannon's approach to the green. Yeah. How did you interpret this situation?
I interpreted it as frustration. I don't even she was like, I mean, even if you get the foot fault there, like, is it even going to matter? I don't even, like,
it wouldn't have. She was down 2.
That's what I mean. So
it would have made it where Missy had to make her putt.
Yeah,
I think
it was not a foot fault. You know, she planted well in front of her disc, centered on her disc, and which is funny because if you look at her approach on 18 in the actual round, I think she stepped like a little to the left of her disc. Like, you could have even argued that one more. But yeah, she plants behind her disc, centered on it, and then pivots and then like slightly bumps it a little bit
after the disc was released.
After the disc was out of her hand. And I've said this before. On this, but like if you are calling a foot fault when even if somebody steps on their disc and just like the very edge of their toe pops on it, and you call that, I think you're being a little ridiculous. I think you're looking for scraps and like worry about your own game at that point. It's one thing when somebody blatantly gives himself an advantage, and that's why you call a foot fault. But trying to call a game of inches when it's not meant to be called that way. The foot fault rule is meant to protect when you're doing a standstill lie and you're stretching, right, to be fair in that way. And it's meant to protect people taking huge advantages by being way behind their disc or way off to the left or what.
Good call,
Good
Con.
call.
Good
or
call,
way
Con.
off to the right.
I think it did hit the mic, which might have been louder than him hitting the table.
Was.
But hey,
Good
A for
point.
effort.
I've been elevated left of the lie or right of the lie. It's not meant to nitpick. If the rule was meant to nitpick, we wouldn't even allow run-ups in the first place because you could never be that precise.
Absolutely.
So Haley, and then what got me about it was Haley taking a tone of like, well, duh, with like Christine, who is there, being like, it literally went flipped up in the air. And it's like, I can't stand when somebody takes a well, duh tone with somebody and they're wrong. Like, if you were staring at it.
Well, I mean, it did flip up in the air. It just was, the disc was
that's
100 feet down the fairway.
That's
at that
what
point.
I'm saying. Like, it flipped up in the air after she pivoted. She was saying that she stepped on it and kicked it up, and that's not even close. Like, if you're looking close enough to make a foot fault call on that, you should know what happened.
Well,
like,
here's
it's like the caddy like tapped her on the shoulder.
That's
like, hey.
honestly what I was about to say. I think that's what happened. Because
like, what in the world?
This is how I view it. First off, let me say this. I'm all for people calling rules. And I think that they should call rules, and I don't think it should be an awkward thing, right? Like if a blatant rule violation happens,
that's fine.
Call it. I'm not upset about her attempting to make a call. What I don't like about this one was how late it was called in this situation.
Yeah, another good point.
Because Missy's disc had landed, she had picked up her lie, she was taking off her rain jacket, walking away. That's how long she had.
Yeah.
And then the initial foot fault call was made. Because you can watch this all in real time. You can also watch Haley King and her caddy are walking away after Missy's thrown and then come back to make the foot fault call.
Yeah.
If you see a foot fault, it happens before the disc is released. Yeah. Meaning that call should have happened while the disc is mid-flight.
Right.
It should have happened foot fault because then you can't even be accused. Yeah. If that disc is halfway through the air, you don't know what's about to happen.
Right.
This was the disc had landed, Missy Gannon had won, the tournament was over. Haley King walks up and says foot fault and then tried to like argue it a little bit.
Here's my question.
Because if you're watching it, what you had said of like, if you're watching it close enough to see it happen, why would you wait 30 seconds to make that
Somebody
call?
told her, I think. Well, here's my other question is, and there might be a PDGA rule on this, I'm sure there is, hopefully. In the two-person playoff, there should, in theory, there should be no calling, self-officiating.
No, I think you can call because you can self-second. So Missy Gannon could have said, I did foot fault. That would have been the second.
Oh, well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my
secondary
life.
thing is the official.
But the official, that's what I'm saying. Official should not be seconding. You shouldn't have to like get the official's attention to make a call. That's what I'm saying. If they're in my book, if there's a foot fault, the official should call it. That's the end of that.
There's not a rule
Haley
against that,
King
I don't
shouldn't
think.
have to call something for an official to second it if there's an official on the card.
Shouldn't have to, but I think the official could have seconded it. But also, I think the reason is because Missy Gannon, you can second it as a player.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because you can, and it's happened before. I'm pretty sure earlier. Don't quote me on this because there was a lot of FPO foot faults called on coverage, which was fascinating.
I love it.
But
I'm
pretty sure I'm almost
calling.
positive one of them, Stacey Ronsley, called Natalie Ryan, and I'm almost positive Natalie Ryan seconded it and said I did, and then took the stroke. And then what was interesting is like 2 throws later, Natalie called Stacey, and I'm pretty sure Stacey seconded it, like I did, and then just footballed it back and forth.
I'm gonna have to do something pretty egregious for me to self-second myself. Like,
well, if I knew,
I'm gonna have to stomp flat
if
on
I
my
knew
disc.
I like stepped on my disc and my foot slid off and someone called it, I'd be like, yeah. I mean, because like, but if I'm like rotate, you're not gonna notice if you like plant and rotate and kick your disc a little bit.
I'm gonna make the rest of the card call it.
Wow. There it is, Trevor the cheater.
If I step on the disc, here's my thing about stepping on the disc. Listen, the rules are what they are. But if I don't think anybody in their life has ever stepped on the disc and then thrown a better shot because of it.
I had a friend who
give me a
every
break.
time he would throw, he would step on the face of the disc.
Now, I
and
will
his
say
foot would
this.
slip, and it was always so. It's like that was like his plant
I
point.
did it
Was he like pivoted on his disc?
I used to do it more. You know, it's really funny. A lot of people are getting into disc golf and this was me too. When I first watched professional disc golf and I grew up playing a par 3 course, so run-ups to your lie were not really a thing at all. You threw standstills. So watching pro disc golfers run up and plant perfectly behind their lie over, I was like so confused. I was like,
it's an art.
How are they doing that? That's impossible. And then you realize it's not that hard, but your margin for error is like a few inches here and there. But I will say, a quick way to not step on your disc is to mark it with a mini, because it's a lot harder to detect if somebody steps on the edge of the mini.
And like what you guys were saying before, like the purpose of the foot fault is to prevent somebody from getting an advantage because they purposefully step somewhere other than their lie. If you're in the middle of the fairway, I mean, you're not getting an advantage. Like,
never.
No. Well, also, there was the one back in the day where Climo kept calling Stokely on a foot fault.
Yeah.
But, in that scenario, Stokely was running up sideways and was planting, a foot or two behind his lie. Now, some of them, they weren't foot faults, and Climo just called them anyways. But, in that scenario, though, he's trying to throw a shot, a very tough, tricky shot, and is blatantly ignoring his lie.
And
that's a completely
different. And you said
different.
it, though. It's a petty off is what it becomes.
Yes, because then at that point, once it was how am I doing? The next thing you know, it's well, you better be within an inch of your lie or I'm calling a foot fault.
Yeah.
And that's just where I don't like when it gets to that. I'm all good with the first call of if my disc is here and I plant 2 feet behind it, and because that could open up a different angle.
Especially when you're going over something.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
There's
that's
context,
a foot fault. 100% that's a foot fault. But if it's just I'm watching it just to try to call you, just to get a stroke.
Yeah, you can do that all day long.
Well, because if you are actually taking into account where your foot is planting, it makes the game harder.
Yeah,
it makes the shot more difficult if you have to be sure where you're stepping. So if you're showing no regard for the lie at all, then you technically have an advantage because you don't have the nervousness of having to figure out where your foot's going to go. Yeah. So there is a fine line.
I'll say, regardless of how it was brought up to her, because there's a good chance that her caddy told her, and then she just got caught in the moment. But it wasn't a good look. It looked pretty bad on coverage.
It looked like a very desperate.
Yeah.
I'm trying my last ditch ever to win when
you're losing and it's basically over and you're playing that that's
just take it.
Yeah, it's over.
It was tough. Now, over in MPO, we had Calvin Heimberg take down his first win of the year and his first win in 371 days, according to Statmando's Twitter.
Heck yeah.
He had a solid first 2 rounds, finished with an absolute scorcher, one off the course record that happened to be set that same round by Joseph Anderson, Joey Buckets. Ricky had a 1-stroke lead over Calvin heading to the final day, ended up losing by 7 to Calvin. It doesn't
closer than it
doesn't
sounds.
tell the full story. They were only separated by 2 strokes going into 16, and then we saw the break that I think broke Ricky.
I think it was 3.
I did the math. It was 2. I'm pretty positive. I just did the math. Doesn't matter. It was close. It wasn't over going into 16. But then you see Calvin's disc definitely looked like it's going OB. Hits the back wall on 16 and just gets a crazy reaction and roll to the middle of the green. Then Ricky throws a pretty similar shot, also over to the left. Honestly, might have even looked a little better. Hit the wall more square, rolls OB.
Tough.
And Ricky you could hear him on the hot mic walking off are you freaking kidding me?
He was just of course.
Of course that just happened. So he ended going bogey, bogey, bogey.
It's tough.
To Calvin going 1 under through those last 3. So that would point to 3 strokes.
And there's a lot of people bickering back and forth online about Wallgate and the luck of it. And it's well, here's my point. If you're going to throw into a wall, you are subject to whatever happens after hitting said wall.
I would like the people who are upset by it to answer, do you think Calvin or Rick intended to throw their shot where it landed?
No, you want to. I
don't think so.
You want to obviously not be that far left, and then also these players, I think a lot of times play to slide into the wall. But
that's
I don't think any of them are really
different.
trying to hit the wall in the air. And was Calvin's reaction off the wall crazy? Some people are trying to say is because he threw a slower disc. I think that's even still he definitely could have got a roll. But if you throw it and hit a wall in midair and you're already close to the OB and it wasn't a great shot, you are subject to what happens.
if you don't throw a disc where you intend to, that is when you bring luck into play. So if both of them had threw it exactly where they wanted, both of them would have been fine. But
like-
once they threw it offline, then it became luck.
Yep.
So both of them threw
as soon as
not
you-
bad shots because they hit the island, but both of them threw not perfect shots. And so luck came into play, favored Calvin, didn't favor Rick.
As soon as you hit the wall at all, I don't even care if you slide dead center into the back of the wall. If that thing pops up and jumps over it, you've now brought in a part of the course that is unpredictable, more so than not. Like it's not, it is what it is. Part
Now
of the game.
I took note of this because I don't believe it, but on the broadcast they said this was the only the second time that Ricky has went into the final day with a lead and lost the event.
Ever?
That's what they said.
Well,
They said
he did it at European Open that one year.
Well, see, that's what I thought
is that what
too.
they
No,
cited?
the other one was Champions Cup.
Well, that's got to be capped. Then.
But I'm wondering, was he not the solo leader going into the final day at European Open?
Was he
Maybe
tied for the lead or something?
I don't know.
All right, well,
That's it. They said it on the broadcast, and I was sitting.
Was it
I was
2018?
like, that's not true.
Was it
And I was like, maybe it is.
Was it 2017?
I don't know what year it was. I just know Paul chased him down from like 8 strokes back, and it was crazy.
Maybe he wasn't the leader. Maybe.
But
he
I'm
just
saying
took the
maybe
lead.
he was in second and took the lead
Okay,
or
2017.
something. I don't know. They said it. They said the only other time was Champions Cup when Chris Dickerson won.
It wasn't this year.
That's what they
It
quoted.
might have been 2018.
But they could have also been talking in the Pro Tour era or something. I don't know. But they said that. And I was just like, that can't be true. But I was like, but they said it
I'm
on.
saying there wasn't one in 2018.
They said it on. They said it on the broadcast.
So it had to been either 2015 or 2019. It wasn't 20.
Was it 2016?
Did they have one in 2016? They only
I
have
don't
one
know.
every 2 years. No, they have one in 2017. That's what I'm saying. Okay, I think this is it. No, because in the finals in this round, what tournament was this? It's like very popular coverage.
It could have been 20. Was it 2015 European Open?
No, I just looked it up. Look at the final rounds. It's not even.
But I'm saying I wonder if the final round scores don't tell the story. Like if Paul came out slow,
No, but
Ricky
like
took
Rick
it.
played better in the final round in that one I was just looking at.
But that's what I'm saying is like I wonder if Paul got down by 8 or something and then stormed back. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think so. Oh my gosh! All right,
I don't know. I just know they said it on the coverage, and I don't think Ian Anderson would lie to
So
me.
Paul won in
So,
2019, but was it 2019?
Paul won in 2017.
It wasn't 2017 though. Rick was like way off in that one. I mean, I should be able to look it up on YouTube, and it should be like it was like the most popular disc golf YouTube video for a while there. Like, can you guys picture that thumbnail?
I don't know. I mean, I
Disc
definitely
golf.
watched it multiple times because it was like one of the craziest comebacks.
European, I've seen this.
It was in 2019. Because it was well before that.
I'll know. This
I think it had to be
thumbnail, man.
2015.
I'll know it.
It was 2015.
It was?
I think it had to be. I bet Paul slipped during the final round and then stormed back to win by 1. I bet that's what happened.
Well, look, round 3, look, he got
Well, let's just
got
look.
crushed. So maybe it was that.
Paul had the lead, but then wouldn't. Yeah, because I don't think Ricky would have ever taken the lead.
Okay, 2015. You said this is 2015?
This is 2015 that happened.
Okay, this is round.
Because Paul lost 2 strokes to Rick in the
this
final
is final
round.
round front 9 coverage. Okay, Paul's
Just-
up by 3 starting the round.
Yeah, we'll go to the end of the front 9.
Yeah, let's see where he's at. He is up by 3. This
Yeah,
is not it.
that
It's
can't be it.
2017. It's 2017. Like, did Rick just like implode?
Could have
Okay,
been.
let's look at this. He wasn't even on the lead card for the final round in 2017.
Paul
What is
wasn't or
this-
Rick wasn't?
What is this tournament?
It was definitely European Open.
Rick wasn't.
It's definitely European Open. Right, Konner? You remember it.
Dude,
Could it have been 2012? Could it have been like 2013?
Maybe it's 2013. It's 2013. Okay, this is it. This is it. This is the thumbnail I was looking for. Oh my gosh.
So
dude.
what happened
I
then?
was going crazy. Hold on, I'm finding the scores. Here we go. Okay. Nope, he's winning by a lot. It's not this one. Okay, it doesn't exist. Never happened.
No, it happened.
No,
We've
it never
all
happened.
seen it.
Nope, never happened.
Are we thinking of like, could it have been Kona Piche Day or something?
No. Are we like all suffering from what's like that effect where you guys where everybody thinks something is true and it didn't happen?
The
Mandela
the
effect.
Berenstein Bears effect.
This is the Mandela effect. We're all getting Mandela effect
Yeah.
affected right now.
I'll text Paul.
It's the Carbonaro effect.
If there's one person that'll know, it'll be Paul.
Hey Paul, when's that time that Rick choked? And be like, which one?
That's not what I'm gonna ask him.
What's the spiral thing?
I mean, I remember that I swear I've watched that. Or was it not Rick? Was it like Barsby?
No, it's definitely Rick.
I don't know, dude. They were going to put me in a home.
Trevor, you have no idea how long I was white knuckling this Nerf gun waiting for you to touch the table.
It scared me to death, but I think that's good. I think you scared it out of me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw some crazy stats about Rick because I think one of the stats I saw about Rick is I think it was from 2011 to 2023. He's won at least one Elite Series major or national tour. So that's a pretty long streak. I mean, obviously, this is the beginning of the season. I'm sure Rick's going to win, but just something to keep an eye on. And Calvin just joined a pretty exclusive list of players that have won as many like Elite Series or higher events as well. I think it's like up to 8, and he's like with like Barry Schultz, Climo, Nate Doss, like a pretty good list.
Yeah. So what now? Back to Calvin. After that
was a rabbit hole.
I'll let y'all know if Paul texts me back. I don't know. But what do you think this win could mean for Calvin's rest of his season?
Well, I think this is perfect because I love that he won the way he did because I've been saying on the preview show and on this show, I've been waiting for Calvin to go out on a final day and take it. Like I kept saying, like we just haven't seen Calvin get out in the final round and just like go ballistic, and that's exactly what he did. He came out firing. He put his foot on the gas. I think he decided that he was not going to let this one slip. He was going to go out firing and playing aggressive golf. And if he lost that way, I think he could be at peace with it. And I mean, he just dominated.
Yeah.
This was classic Calvin. This is the Calvin Heimberg that everybody watches and is like, oh my gosh, this dude's unbeatable. And I think this would be a massive, massive boost of confidence for him. I think he desperately needed it. You could tell he showed a decent amount of Calvin emotion out there, and that's always a scary sign.
Calvin emotion, I love that.
Well, he's on a different scale, but I love it for him. I'm super happy for Calvin, and I think that this is definitely not too late in the season to get something going, not even close. So watch out for Calvin now. Rest of the year, he's got one off his shoulder. It remains to be seen if he can get the major win this year, but I think this is a fantastic time to get it done, and he's going to have a ton more opportunities, and I'm very glad that he won the way he did. I didn't want to see him win because other players, just choked down the stretch. I mean, he just came out there and he shredded.
No, he just put his foot on the gas and just didn't take it off. I mean, he started 7
awesome.
for 7.
Yeah,
he just came out and just opened it up, and then down the stretch, he was never super challenged, but it was always like if he messed up, there were people waiting, and he just never did.
Yeah, he didn't.
He never did. He had one bogey on what hole was it? He
like
bogeyed
14,
hole 13, but it was surrounded by 5 birdies. He went birdie, 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 bogey, birdie, birdie, and then went par, birdie, par down the stretch to secure the win.
That's awesome.
Which the par on 18 was because he could lay up to tap out for the win. So very, very impressive.
Very big of him not to try and tie the course record.
Yeah, well, can you imagine if he would have ran that, win OB?
It would have taken something.
Yeah, it would have taken something crazy. But no, I mean, hey, Joseph Anderson did birdie hole 18 to get the course record, so Calvin had a chance to tie it with a bogey.
True.
But it doesn't matter. Very impressive performance, and I do think this could be very big for his confidence. Yeah, because I mean, when you're a player that plays at the level of Calvin and you go a year without winning, you have to at some point question yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. How many times am I going to put myself in contention and not win? So to do it again and do it in a pretty commanding fashion that final round, it definitely is it should be. Now the field should be really terrified because we've now had Rick in contention multiple weeks in a row.
Yeah, Rick's
Gannon Burr,
the most due.
Gannon Burr finished in second.
Yeah.
He still hasn't finished outside the top 10. AB has finished outside the top 10 once now. With the 14th place this weekend, so it's not like he did anything criminal. Calvin, right back at it. Paul was in the mix, which we'll talk about Paul in 1 second here, but Paul was in the mix and then kind of imploded a little bit down the stretch. But you have a lot of guys who are firing and getting hot at this point in the season.
It's
if you're not on that list, it's kind of
worlds, baby.
If you're not on that list, it's kind of terrifying for you.
Yeah, the ocean of incredible, talented golf that is surrounding the top of the leaderboard right now is horrifying.
Yeah.
And hey, credit to guys like Gavin Rathbun who are playing golf this season really well and were able to, get a podium finish. Joey Buckets, who has continuously this year submitted his name up into the top 10 amongst this insane field. He is a player that, if this is 5 years ago, he's winning events.
Absolutely.
Consistently. But yeah, I think Rick is now top of the list for most due for a win. But
I really thought this was going to be his weekend, but
it really looked like it. He came out hot the way he did, and Calvin was always there. But the way that the season's gone previously, you thought Calvin's going to kind of slow up in the final round. Rick's going to do Rick things. That's it. And it was like, nope.
Yeah. Now,
Not even close.
Anthony Barella, like I said, finished outside the top 10 for the first time this year with a 14th place finish, leaving only Gannon to have not missed the top 10.
Yeah.
As he notched a second place finish here. This did close the gap in the Pro Tour standings to only 5 points between Gannon and AB, but they are both clear 135 points of third, being Rick. So you have Gannon and AB within 5, neck and neck at the top, and then you have a 135-point gap to get to Ricky in third.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy that they've already separated themselves this much this early. Obviously, just 1 or 2 performances could change that, but it's looking like early a 2-horse race right now.
Yeah, the the top of the game is just really stacked up right now, and you've got a lot. I think AB, Gannon, Kyle Klein had another decent event. Dickerson's been playing really good golf. Like, there's just a really good group of guys that have been playing remarkably consistent golf. And because that's the thing that you strive for the most, is if I'm not going to go out and be in contention, at least can I, finish top 20, top 15 and keep momentum moving in the right direction. Because, when you finish, and sometimes it varies because, there can be events where you can take 15th and be 15 strokes off, or you could be 7 strokes off the lead.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, when you're not winning, but you're able to get yourself in the top 15, you can look at yourself and say, well, it's a few strokes here, a few strokes there. Like, just wasn't putting my best this weekend. You can convince yourself that you are still right there and you're just this close. It's when you have that finish where you take a 70th, where you got to look in the mirror and be like, what just happened out there, and is it going to happen again next week? So I think when our hottest players right now are just staying right there, they're just lurking, that means that they're not losing any steam, and at any given moment they're going to continue to win. And I think that's a great place to be right now. With the last thing you want is all of the hot players to just cool off and kind of take time to get back into things.
Yeah, no, if anything, more people are heating up and getting to that hot player list, which is just crazy.
Especially with the major season really kicking in here.
Speaking of majors, it was also, we talked about Gavin Rathbun a little bit already. Very impressive performance from him. There's very impressive performance from a lot of people, but the one that kind of shocked me was Andrew Presnell. He hadn't finished inside the top 15 yet this year, and then won a major last event, and then finished top 5 in 5th, I believe, here at DDO.
Yeah.
Not really a course that doesn't scream Andrew Presnell to you when you look at it.
Yeah.
But
totally.
he came out, and to me, how I interpreted this is that win took a lot of weight off his shoulders and added some confidence to where he's like,
he's in a good mood.
Yeah, he feels like, I know now I can compete with anyone. And, you saw him out here, top 5 at a course, like I said, that I wouldn't, it's not a Prez course.
Yeah.
But he on Tour Life admitted to only being able to throw like 425 to 450. Like, this isn't a course where you feel.
Imagine only being able to do that.
Well, I'm saying this is a course where, because Brody immediately was like, asking about a few holes, and Presnell was like, yeah, I have to get a disc to flip up to reach those holes. And Brody was like, yeah, I think that's where a big disadvantage comes, because in a wind, I can just rip a overstable disc, whereas Prez has to get something to flip and stand up.
Yeah.
And yet he managed it just fine and came 5th out here. Points to, he was saying when Brody was asking him during that interview about like what he was thinking, one of the tournaments that he brought up that he thinks he had a chance at is Idlewild, which I think could be very interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
If Presnell stays really confident, it could be very interesting if Presnell gets a major and a Pro Tour win this season. That'd be crazy, but it's not that unbelievable when he just came top 5 here.
Yeah, and well, like I said, you can't super argue that just like, well, he played safe golf thing, because like a lot of players weren't going OB a ton. I think Calvin went OB like 4 times the whole event. It's not like that was separating himself so much from the pack. I think he's just on cloud 9 right now. I mean, he probably is going to get a massive pay raise. Even if it's just like a bonus of some sort.
Well,
right?
he's also, we have now confirmed, back on the elite team, and he's getting a Tour Series Swarm,
exactly.
which is the newest Discraft disc, overstable mid, in Z Flex jawbreaker plastic, and like with Presnell's like that. Yeah. He's
going to make some
sell
money.
a ton of that.
So as I'm saying, I think he's in a really good mood, and shocker, golf's a mental game. When you're in a very good mood, you're going to play better. And I think he also he's figured out some things. He's gained some confidence. Another player who gained some confidence this week, and who is the CEO of Idlewild, Isaac Robinson.
Yeah, he came in 9th place here, an important 9th place finish.
Yeah, including a very nice final round. So hopefully that I love Isaac. I really hope he can figure it out and get back in the winner's circle at some point this year. I think he's just gonna have to pick his moment, but hopefully this is a confidence builder. His brother lost a bit of confidence in that final round.
Yeah, it was tough.
Oh my goodness.
He was going in with a chance at the win. He had a lot of chances early for different birdie opportunities. He just kept squandering them,
Also,
parring the first 7, and he lost 7 strokes through those 7 to Sir Calvin Heimberg on his card.
Can't do that.
And then went tripled bogey on 8-9. He ended up getting back to 1 under for the final round, but just wasn't his day out there.
Also, big shout out to Mason Marchbanks and Evan Scott, who is currently second in the Evan Power rankings.
Mm-hmm.
Could be a statement.
Wow.
Where was Evan Smith out here? Nope, just Brody Smith.
No, he wasn't. Ooh, so maybe not as big of a statement as we thought. Evan Smith did have that ace last week at Champions Cup, so like the highlight reel really helps you in the power
it does.
rankings.
Yeah. So now we can get to what are your thoughts on Big Germ's live commentary debut?
Okay, so I thought it was pretty good, and I think a lot of people liked it. And here's my thoughts. I think that when you put him in the live booth, I've always thought Jerem's like a pretty funny, entertaining guy. I think in the Jomez commentary, and this happens with, and I'm not a huge Jomez watcher anymore, so I'm not like the authority on this. But I think sometimes he can get a little off tangent, lose focus a little bit, because they do that after long days. A lot of times it's post-produced commentary. You do it, but I thought he was a little more locked in the booth. I think he took it upon himself to really be a professional and try and add to the group. And I saw on Reddit somebody said he's coming back for another event. I don't know if it was Portland, which that'd be crazy because that's an Elite Plus, but he is coming back for another event, and I'm down for it. I think experimenting with new commentators, especially in the color position, is great. Obviously, he's experienced with Jomez, and I like Big Germ, so I'm down for it.
Yeah, I think he did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
What I really thought was interesting, well, first off, let me say this. I thought it was really interesting, and I thought it added a lot to have 2 on-the-ground commentaries.
Yeah.
They had Terry Miller and Brian Earhart. Now, that could have just been in defense because of how often Ian throws it to the guys to make sure someone was in position.
After every shot, basically.
Yeah, to make sure someone was in position. But, no, I thought it really added to the broadcast to have 2 guys, one with chase, one with lead, so that you always had context if something did happen.
Yeah, because they are, ultimately, those guys on the ground are vital with the coverage that we have right now. We need them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But no, I thought Big Germ was great. My 2 highlights I wanted to bring up is day 1, Rick chains out for an ace on, I think it was
oh my
hole 3 or
gosh,
something.
dude. Wait, are we going to talk about the baskets?
No, I didn't have it. But
They were tough.
Rick chains out for an ace, and Germ freaked out. And got super excited, and he said something along the lines of how it's so much more fun to commentate live because he had no idea that was about to happen. And I was like, that is the funniest comment.
Like watching a guy who probably loves post produce being like, oh my gosh, that's live. That's what live is like.
He was like, that was so exciting. I had no idea that was about to happen.
It's just like I was on his card, watching it happen. That's how it works.
I just thought that comment was very funny. The other thing I loved is he just stopped Ian mid sentence when Ian was about to. It sounded like on the final day through 7 holes, Calvin was 7 under through 7, and it sounded like Ian was about to be like, is Calvin just going to walk away with this thing?
So Jerem,
and he said, so Ian goes, man, Jerem, it almost seems like Calvin's about to, and Jerem goes, stop it. You stop it right now. We don't say anything like that till hole 16's over. And I just busted up laughing.
Dude,
I was like, that was awesome. I really like
awesome.
Jerem. I always
Big
picture Sexy, Big Germ, Nate Sexton. I think there are 2 best color commentators in the game right now.
Dude, I give me a Terry or Charlie Eisenhood with Sexton and Germ, and then give me Perkins and Earhart or Terry and Earhart on the ground. That could be my new power team.
I think that could be phenomenal.
I like to picture Ian Anderson's note cards as okay, stats, flips it, is it over yet? More stats, flips the next one, is it over yet? He has to keep asking if the next guy thinks that the tournament's over.
Yeah. Ian, I think, could really add value to the production if he was a graphics guy, or maybe if he was the interviewer after.
Careful, man. There's a lot of team Ians
That's
out there.
fine. I'm not one of them. I'm not a team Ian. I love what he's done for the sport.
I think Ian's a nice guy.
I love Central Coast. I love everything he's done. He's not a live commentator.
I think he's a little too laid back for me.
He's not. It's just not my vibe. It doesn't work. And I find myself more distracted. I do think it was better Ian and Germ than Ian and Philo.
Yes, I think that Ian is significantly better when he's with Sexton, or in this case with Germ.
Yeah, because I did find them arguing less.
Oh my gosh!
You didn't really hear Ian make a statement and then Jerem go, I don't know, man. I disagree. You know, when I was playing against him, it blah, blah, blah. You
That's
didn't really
just
hear
cheese
that.
on bread.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, here we go. We have a response from Paul.
Oh, heck
Paul
yeah.
said it was an A tier. Eagle was actually winning. I'll find the year.
Oh, it
There
was
we go.
Eagle. So we're just idiots.
There's the answer.
Well, it still would have been one of those ones we looked at.
Well, I think
wouldn't it?
Eagle was winning. So maybe he came back on Eagle over Rick, or maybe Eagle was winning and then he like stormed back. I don't know, but it was it was an A tier. So that's why I couldn't find it, because it was one of the years it still happened. So it probably was a 2016 or 2018. It was just an A tier.
They did it as an A tier, one of the in between years.
One of the off years, because it was only a major every other year or something. So there you go. And there's the answer.
Interesting.
Speaking of Macbeth, this is actually a great time to jump into it. We saw a little bit of the vintage Macbeth mindset on going for everything down the stretch with almost a like win or go home. And it cost him because he went double. Well, he went double bogey on 16.
Didn't he take like a 9
He
on
went
the home?
quadruple bogey 9 on 18 to finish and come in at 27th.
Yeah.
Instead of 11th had he parred out. Historically, we've seen this out of Paul, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like,
I
oh,
love
here
it.
you go. He linked it to me. It was a disc golf world tour event. That's why. And it was Rick that he beat out by 2. So it wasn't Eagle. It was Rick.
Oh.
So there it is. Let's see who had the lead.
What was it called? Was it still called European Open?
So Ricky did have the lead. Paul did take him down. So there you go. Maybe they were saying Elite Series and majors.
Yeah, I mean,
that could have made
it's
sense.
an A tier. So
It was an A tier.
Still
But it was the Disc Golf World Tour. It's European Open Disc Golf World Tour number 3. So that's why it felt like such a big event.
Don't even talk if you're such a European if
Paul-
you're such a World Tour fan, name at least 3 of their events.
Me, Konopiste Open, La Mirada
I
Open,
know you
European
could.
Open. I love Disc Golf World Tour.
Well, yeah, you were at one of their events.
No. I was at the announcement, USDGC. They
Was the
brought out,
Australian Open not a World Tour event?
it was 2017. Oh,
He was.
might have been.
You had like a sticker that says, I thought it said.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I was at a World Tour
You
event.
didn't even know where you were. You're such
Well,
a big
it was a
fan.
major. Australian Open was a major. So I don't even know if it wasn't just a World Tour event. It was a major.
That is part of it, though.
I have a Disc Golf World Tour hat. I got the Australian Open flag.
biggest World Tour fan right here.
Could be.
Biggest. Making
I
money.
got to get
moves
my
over there.
keys to give them the other 2. Nate, my keys are on my desk, and 2 of those chairs are in the back of my trunk.
Grip locked.
Grip locked. Or we go on tangents. Anyways,
Yeah.
Paul did come back from 5 strokes on Rick there.
Yeah.
End up winning by 2. So it was a 7-stroke total.
Maybe
turnaround.
we should make sure that people know about.
Anyways, what did you think about the play style in today's field where like
that. Yeah.
your finish at 11th means way more today than it did like in 2015 or 2017?
Yeah.
A win versus 11th versus 27th.
Yeah.
It was like, man.
Well, Paul donates all his winnings.
Yes.
Not to say that he doesn't care.
I was gonna
about
say,
his
what does
charity.
that mean, Trevor?
No, I'm just saying he also makes $1 million guaranteed every year. So he doesn't care about 11th versus 27th.
Correct.
And that is very much the old school Paul mentality for sure. Of I'm either gonna charge into this thing and try to take it, or I'm losing ugly, and who cares? And because that's what I'm saying, like blowing up on those last 2 holes, I don't think he cares about that. You know,
Yeah.
he knows the style that he was playing and what it was potentially going to cost him. I think that all signs are looking great for him right now because he's figuring out things in his game and he's showing flashes that we haven't seen in a while, where it's like there are times where Paul looks like Paul, and man, I hope it can just like things are really heading like in a great direction as we approach Worlds in August. And oh my gosh, would it just be great
Well, because Paul
if
was
he could get in contention.
before those last 2 holes. Paul was 10 under through 14 in that final
Yeah.
round. A
He was
reminder:
cooking.
the course record was set that round by Joseph Anderson at 13.
He was cooking.
So he had a very solid chance because 18 was eagleable, and the reason he bogeyed 16 is he was the only player I saw all weekend run the drop zone putt.
Yeah.
and it went in the water.
Yeah.
So like that was he was the only, so he was trying to save his 3
That was
because he
great.
was in that like my foot's to the floor mentality.
Is he going out west?
Let's take a look at Paul's upcoming events here.
We're about to have some interesting events. Because obviously, we have a week. Or is he going straight?
He goes OTB, Portland, Beaver State Preserve.
yeah.
Then he goes over Swedish Open, Crocol Open, European Disc Golf Festival. Then he comes back beginning of August for
Yeah.
Ledgestone.
So don't even. I would be not counting him out to win one.
No, he's definitely heating up at the right time of the season for him, I think.
And I mean, I'm talking about Worlds, but
yeah.
he's just gearing up for European Open.
European Open. I mean, it's not unrealistic to think that he could be in contention or win Worlds and or European Open and or USDGC.
Well, I would say it's not unrealistic to think that he wins in the next, couple months, 3 months. He wins 3 Pro Tours and 2 majors.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. I just wanted to. I know people are
That would
already
be
like,
awesome.
like, oh my gosh, here they go about Paul. So I just wanted to really pile it on. For him.
That would definitely put AB back in Sun mode.
Yeah.
If Paul rattled off 3 Pro Tour and 2
I'm gonna have
majors.
to add that to the is Paul back meter that I tweet out sometimes. Like the final one is like AB is your son again. Or
Yeah.
something like that.
That's funny.
Definitely.
Sorry,
then
Anthony.
people could start calling AB Little Macbeth again if that
Oh my
happened.
gosh, bro.
Anything else surprising you on this leaderboard? I only have like one thing from it, but I didn't know if you saw anything.
Not in particular. Once I mentioned earlier, but Gavin Rathbun, I'm really happy for the golf he's been playing this year. It's been great.
Well, first off, Kevin Jones let me down as my dark horse pick. Did not
mine
go
didn't
well.
show up to the event, so
So I do win that,
Yeah, you
at
do
least.
win.
Okay, well, this might be the first time a dark horse pick coming in 68th has won someone.
didn't check on Adam Hammes, and turns out he did not go.
That's
So
tough. That's a tough scene.
Yeah, it's tough.
Very tough scene for you. But the one thing I wanted to bring up that I thought was interesting is Nico LaCastro played the first 2 rounds, then DNF'd for round 3, right? But it wasn't your typical DNF. He got 888'd, which is the first time I've seen this at a Pro Tour.
That
which
means
is,
he quit.
So an 888 means
injury.
An 888 is when not even no injury. An 888 is just when a player has not notified the TD that they will not be playing the next scheduled round. Or you can enter an 888 when a player has been confirmed to have manipulated their score or dropped out to preserve their rating.
Well, he would have a PDGA sanction. We could probably track down. if that was
Most
the case.
likely, it's just that he did not notify the TD he was dropping out. What does an 888 mean over a 999?
Didn't post
In
about it.
today's game, not that much, because the 888 just triggers a penalty where it lowers the player's overall rating up to 5 points for a 6-month period. So his overall rating will just get lowered. Not that big of a deal. I was just scrolling down and I was just like, oh, Nico DNF'd, and then I saw 888, and then I saw everyone else with 999, and I was like,
Probably just
wonder what
drove
happened
away.
there. Most likely, I'm assuming because he did. It's not like he blew up the second
Wait,
round.
did Eagle play this event?
Eagle did not.
No, yeah, we knew he was taking
He's
a
back
break.
next week. But yeah, most likely he just forgot to text the TD or something like that. But it was
Yeah.
interesting. Little
Or just-
Manufacturers Cup update before we get into Trevor's trivia. We have Discraft still holding on to the lead, but scored 3rd most points this week. This is the first time since week 3 that they were not the leader in points. Innova led the weekly scoring solely on Calvin's win. First winner in 2024 that's not from Discraft or Discmania. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Gannon's 2nd place finish makes him the only player to finish in top 10 all 7 events this year. And Joey Bucket's 4th place finish propelled Castplass up from 10th place to 8th, passing Mitt and DGA. So we now
Who is
have
Mason with right now.
Mason Ford,
No, Marchbanks.
Marchbanks Millennium.
It's Millennium. That's right.
Yeah. Gavin Rathbun came in
On
3rd
board.
and scored points for no one as he's unsponsored. So interesting.
That's
Other fact.
crazy. Somebody's got
But
to pick him up, man.
You've got Discraft in the lead, 50 points clear of Discmania. Then you have Innova in 3rd, 108 points behind 2nd. Then you have Dynamic, Prodigy, MVP, Westside, Castaplas now in 8th, Mint in 9th, and DGA in 10th. Trevor, fan favorite segment. What's up with Trevor's trivia today?
Okay, today
Yeah,
I think
what's
could be.
up with Trevor?
What's up with it, dude?
I think this could be pretty fun.
No, this is an intervention.
This is kind of like a Newlywed style game. If you guys have ever seen the Newlyweds game, where you're trying
Yeah.
to like guess what each other would say. So it's kind of like that, except we are going to have. I'm going to have prompts. Okay, I'll give you an example.
Well, I'm getting married and I'm going to
Let
prom.
me give you an example of one of the prompts. One of the first prompts. Some of them are more subjective than others, but they're all somewhat subjective. That's kind of the point. It's not a trivia game. It's I know what the other person would say to this prompt game.
Okay.
So the first one, for example, is this is the most iconic Innova disc. Everyone needs one in the bag. This is a pretty easy one to start with. But here's how it's going to go, though. Listen, you haven't heard the twist.
Okay.
What's the twist?
You guys are going to say it at the same time, but Hunter is merely trying to guess what Konner is thinking.
Yes.
So the way you're playing this game, it's not going to go back and forth. It is always going to be Konner. You say what actually is in your heart,
And I'm just
and
guessing.
you are
Connor.
trying to think
So
as Konner.
this is just Hunter knows
dang
Connor.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still going to say my honorable mention of what Hunter's is afterwards for this first one because I know it.
Okay.
Okay. This is the most iconic Innova disc. Everyone needs one in the bag. 3, 2, 1.
Rock. Yeah.
Okay.
Hunter's was a destroyer.
No, I would have said rock.
Really?
I
Okay.
know.
Iconic.
I think
Iconic.
in the game, I think you would have said it, but I wanted to put that one in there because originally I was designing it to where you would both say what you would think, and I thought you guys would say it wrong. But anyways, okay. Next prompt, 1 for 1. Good job.
I'm scared.
Not always the
something's going to make me look stupid.
Not always the most popular disc manufacturer, but the last few years it put them near the top due to some great signings. Let me know when you're ready.
I know. I'm ready.
No conversing, by the way.
No.
Yeah, I won't. I would never.
You would never.
Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Dynamic.
MVP. Really? Really?
Dynamic.
Konner.
I thought like Discraft was the trap in there. Kinda.
Discraft?
Well, like they signed Paul like it's been a
7
long
years
time.
ago.
Well,
Remember
right.
we discussed that.
Well, what?
I just was saying because Ricky.
How long ago was that?
But Ricky was with Lad
That was only like
before
3
that.
years ago. I'm sorry. I forgot that MVP existed.
Okay. The rest of
Wow, that was stupid.
the rest of these are more like personal, subjective ones. They're less to
Good.
do with the disc golf industry. So
Yeah,
these
then I
will
won't be
more fun.
as embarrassed.
Okay. When it comes to putters, I see these ones on the course more than any other.
Oh, brother.
Okay.
They're gonna start getting. They're gonna start getting pretty typical.
Oh.
I want these to be hard.
Okay, give me a second. Everybody I know puts with a different putter. Okay,
right.
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1.
Luna.
AVR.
I think I probably would have gone Luna, but AVR
I see a lot of people putt with Lunas. Everybody puts with something different now.
Yeah, there's a lot of different putters out
1
there.
for 3.
Maybe I see a lot of people putt with the Judge.
The next one. This one's very difficult. The best number of discs to have in your bag as an experienced player is
I have it.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
25.
Oh!
Dang it!
That was close. That would have been
Dang.
impressive. Okay, here's the next one.
Let's have can we have like an eighth of a point there?
Yeah, an 8.
Okay, cool.
Okay, you have
Nice.
1 and an 8. If I'm recommending a first driver to a new player, I look no further than.
I have no idea.
I mean, I know my answer.
Okay, I got it. I think I know what he's gonna say.
3, 2, 1.
Diamond.
Yes. Yes,
Go.
Hunter.
Nice
Yes.
job.
I locked in. I
thought
locked
somebody
in.
was
I
the
knew you were
leopard
there. I knew you would.
All right,
you would
this
read
is
my
a-
mind on that one.
This is a good one. If I need to recommend a course to someone visiting Lynchburg and they're just looking to have a fun time, I would say go play.
Okay. Okay.
Tough one for Konner.
I'm locked in. I think I know what he's gonna land on.
Can I have a follow up question?
No.
No, that's the problem.
Just get there. You
They're
got
just
this.
looking to have a fun time.
Yeah.
Just gonna have a fun time.
Okay, I'm there.
3, 2, 1.
Timbrook.
Yeah, I knew you'd get there. I knew you'd
Nice.
get there.
I really probably would. I probably.
I think this one.
Well, your honor mention would have been 3, 2, 1.
New London
Sandusky.
shorts.
Ah, shoot.
I thought Falling Creek. I thought Falling Creek might make it on somebody.
We could have really been there, Con.
yeah.
Okay, good job. 2 and an 8 so far. The ideal water bottle size for the disc golf bag is.
All right.
Okay, I got it.
Like we're talking fluid ounces or like
Yeah,
ounces. Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
32.
Nice.
I don't think there's another answer.
Well, hey, I just like to find
As
these
much
things
as I
out.
can fit in my Pioneer.
I think it's fun. Okay, this would be a tough one. The perfect temperature to play disc golf in is.
Oh, no. Okay. Okay.
Okay. All
got
right.
it.
I got it.
3, 2, 1.
75. Wow.
What did he say?
We both said
He
75.
said 75?
Yeah.
Holy cow!
Ah.
You guys are on one right
Well, I
now.
was thinking
wow.
72, but I was like, it's going to have to be a like 70, 75,
Yeah,
80.
yeah,
So I
okay.
said 75.
Wow, this has been really good. 4 and an 8th point.
Wow.
The-
I think I might be losing the essence of the game because I am answering what I'm answering, but I'm also trying to answer what I think Hunter would answer for me as well.
Hey,
so-
fair enough.
Hey, we're doing great.
Yeah, we're doing a great job.
Don't change anything.
The easiest disc color to find in the woods is by far.
Okay.
We'll make it easy.
Oh,
Just
okay.
stick to. We'll make it easy and just stick to like a color.
Yeah,
you don't
okay,
have to
I
say
got it,
like
I got it,
neon
I got
or
it.
anything like that. 3, 2, 1.
Pink.
Oh, man. All right, last one. This one's pretty easy. It's like 50-50. If given the choice of playing in 25-mile-per-hour winds or light rain, I would choose.
I think I know where he's going to get to.
This is to go. Like
Okay,
6 and an 8
I
out
have
of
my
10.
answer. I have my answer.
3, 2, 1.
Rain. Yeah.
There you go.
The wind just
yeah.
beat you down.
Man,
Yeah,
you
it
guys
does.
struggled early there, but
The rain
finished very strong.
With rain, you
That
can
was-
kind of like rally your friends.
Well, it's
and be
also
like, yeah,
only
like
light rain.
like
It's
rain
light
round.
rain.
That's fun.
I thought about saying
And plus,
moderate
like
rain,
one
but
of
I
his
thought
most
that made-
fond memories is being shirtless in the rain.
playing disc golf.
Playing
yeah.
disc
getting
golf with
stung
a
by a
stung
hornet.
hornet.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good point.
That doesn't happen
my
in the
favorite
wind.
memory.
Yeah, it doesn't happen in the wind.
That's a good try. Good point. Good point.
All right, we've got to tackle this top 10 here.
Here's the good news about our top 10 is
we have to factor in Champions Cup and DDO.
that's gonna be a nightmare. The good news is though, I feel like our top 10 boys have been playing well.
Yeah.
So there might be a little shaking, but there shouldn't be a ton of having to move people
Let's
in.
start it off here with we have AB at number 1. Came in 14th this week. Do we still like that there?
Well, the question is who would
The
challenge
only
him?
challenger would be Gannon Burr.
Gannon. If Gannon's played the last 2 events better, which he hasn't though, he didn't play better. At
Well, there's
Champions
also
Cup.
1 win versus 3.
Well, right, but
Yeah.
but not. I don't think anybody's going to challenge.
No,
AB.
I don't think so.
I think
AB Gannon 1-2
I
were
think Calvin
golden.
is going to jump pretty significantly and get close up there, but
No.
he'll probably be the next guy to challenge. For that
Number
spot.
3, we have Niklas Antila currently.
and he just
He
left
did
for
not
Europe.
play Dynamic Disc Open,
That's what I'm saying. So Nicholas is going to start sliding, I think.
but he did come second at Champions Cup.
Right, but so maybe that's enough for this week to kind of hold his position.
I like that.
But he'll start to slide.
Okay. Now we have Ricky Wysocki in 4th.
Who did
Came
just
in
take, like,
5th place.
Yeah.
He has rattled off and 3rd at Champions Cup. He's went 3rd, 5th in his 3 most recent events.
Yeah, he's been pretty good.
I feel like I'm fine with Ricky staying there. I don't think he did anything.
Everybody's been really good.
I don't feel like he did anything to jump Niklas yet.
Yeah, it's so hard.
But
when,
I think
the
he's okay
guys
here,
at the
here.
top are so good right now. I think that 4.
This is where I think things are going to get interesting. We have
Yeah.
Kyle Klein next, who came in
played-
16th.
Yeah, he played.
He's
okay.
recently Jonesboro on. He went 27th. Didn't play MCO. 17th at Champions Cup. 16th
He's
at
gonna.
DDO.
So Calvin is at
He
least
has
getting
slipped.
past him.
Yes, Chris Dickerson is in between Calvin and him. So I think what we have to do is determine between Chris Dickerson and Calvin Heimberg who is taking 5th.
Oh, it's gotta be
In
Calvin.
my opinion, I think both players jumped Kyle Klein.
I don't even need to look at it because Calvin just got the win. I think he's
Okay,
gotta
so we
to
go
5th.
Calvin
and
Heimberg.
Chris.
Do we want to let's just look at Kyle Klein to Chris Dickerson? But I think recent history is going to point to Dickerson. Might help if I actually click Kyle Klein.
Might.
Okay, let's see here. Dickerson's 4-3 against him on the season, and recently he hasn't lost to him. Jonesboro,
Yeah,
Dickerson hasn't finished outside the top 10
Dickerson's very
since chess.com. He's only finished outside the top 10
good.
once.
He's kind of a Matty O lately, where he's living in like that 5 to 10 range, just the whole time.
All right, so
It's incredible.
whoops.
His top 10 is so strong right now. It is.
So Dickerson's in at
Insane.
6th, Kyle Klein at 7th. We have Cole Redallen at 8th. I don't think we're gonna like that.
Because he was sneaky. Wasn't he sneaky?
He did not play DDO. He came in 26th at Champions Cup.
Maybe he hasn't been that sneaky.
But before then, he was 26th, 15th, 6th, 20th, 13th, and then came 26th and didn't play.
Not
The
terrible.
one behind him is Simon Lizotte.
Who's also probably about to slip because he's gonna be gone.
Simon
for a while.
Lizotte has not played.
We gave Simon
Champions Cup or
he's-
DDO.
He's gonna be out for a while.
Yeah.
So I mean, we gave Simon his flowers because he had the win, but he probably just needs to leave the top.
So
10.
now we have Ezra Robinson.
Or do we just
Let's
give him?
look.
Do we give Simon residency at the bottom of the top 10 until he comes back, just knowing that he's probably a top 10 guy when he comes back?
Let's look at Ezra Robinson compared to Cole Redallen.
Schools of thought here.
Ezra Robinson's 4-3 against Cole Redallen on the season. So I think Ezra Robinson needs to jump at least to Cole Redallen.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
So
That might be the play.
we now have, and I do think we should probably.
Like, do we just let Simon sit in the 10 spot till he comes back?
That's fine. I'm fine with that.
I
So
think we
now
have to.
We need to just do some looksy peeksy here.
Oh, I like it.
Who is missing? Andrew Presnell. First place, 5th place, back-to-back
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah.
Do we?
I kind of like putting him in
Let's
there
put
in
him.
9th.
Let's look at Redallen versus.
Yeah.
Let's look at Redallen versus Presnell.
Gotta respect the major win and a back-to-back 5th. Like, that's
Presnell's 2-4 against Redallen on the season, but Champions Cup win, and then he came 5th
And
at
he
DDO.
hasn't been bad.
And he hasn't. I mean, he came
I
in
think we
50th
throw
at
him in there.
Jonesboro.
We can
But
see
he's went 17th, 1st, 5th last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
This is a power ranking. It's all about our gut. My gut says I like Presnell more than Cole
I like
Redallen
the
right now.
Prez for Prez right now. Wow,
Presnell.
never
Is
thought
there
he was going to be in the top 10.
anyone we're missing above him? I think that we have the same 10 people in our top 10. Matty O's the only one that's not.
Yeah, but he got
He went
crushed. He took
21st
like
at
an
DDO.
80th or whatever.
Yeah, he took a 45th at Waco,
I think that's the 10.
81st at Music City.
I think that's the 10.
I think that's a
right
10. I
there.
think
and it's
Joseph Anderson's the only other one that we could talk.
He's outside looking.
but he
in
went
right now.
6th, 4th most recently to Presnell's first.
He's
5th.
first 5
So
out. He's first
I
5
think
out.
I think Joseph Anderson's on board there. Now I think we We got to look at Evelina Salonen has won a major since we updated this. Owen Scoggins has lost 2 weeks in a row. Missy Gannon has just won. Right now we have Kristen, Owen, Missy. Owen and Missy are tied for second. Holland, Evelina.
And Evelina won a major and dipped. Is she coming back?
She will at some point.
But like when? That's what I'm saying. Like if she's gonna be gone for like 3 weeks, then it's like why even bother bumping her up a ton? But if she's gonna come right back for Portland,
she is back. She's not back. We won't see her until the Krokol Open
in July.
Well, because she's playing the Copenhagen Open this weekend, Turku Open, Swedish.
We can't do.
We won't have her on the
it.
U.S. soil until
That's
Worlds.
what I'm saying. I think we probably hold her, but like we hold her where she is at 5. But like moving her up, I think is gonna be pointless.
Yeah. Okay. So do we think we just take Owen, move her to third, have Missy second, and that's it?
That looks pretty good because Holland played well. I mean, unless we probably should compare Holland and Owen because I think there could be something there. Maybe not.
Head to head, FPO.
Let's just make sure though. Excellent.
Okay. Handley to Scoggins. Compare Owen's 5 and 4 against
What about
her.
the last like 3?
Pretty close. Pretty similar.
Pretty close. Yeah, okay. It's probably fine where it is.
Yeah, I think we're fine here. Okay, so FPO, we have Kristen 1, Missy 2, Owen 3, Holland 4, Evelina 5.
Sounds good.
There you go. All right, let's do a little Silas.
I feel better about these than I have in a while. It's good. Those are good power rankings.
Let's do this before Silas Selects. You might have seen on Instagram that the Charleston store, Foundation Charleston, did announce they're closing their doors. I wanted to just give a statement from Griplock's audience to you all from our end. So basically what it came down to, because there wasn't a lot of information in that final post, you might not even have seen it. You might not even know we had a Charleston store. But Avery and the team down there decided to close it. More or less, Charleston is a very expensive location to run a disc golf store, to put it lightly. And with the increased cost, uncertainty of the future, of course, is nearest them. Paired with the opportunity they had to negotiate their lease, the management of the Charleston store made the decision to close their doors. We worked with them, trying to find a low-risk solution, but none seemed to really work for all parties. So this, unfortunately, was the best option. With that being said, though, Avery, who's the owner down there of the shop, is just as passionate about disc golf as ever and plans to keep running events and staying involved in the local scene down there. And we are going to continue to work with him and support him and his endeavors down there however we can. So we will still have a presence in the Charleston area, but it just wasn't realistic or sustainable to keep a disc golf store open down there, unfortunately. So if you're planning to swing by the store at some point in the future, unfortunately, that it is closed. So you can still support their events and stuff going on down there. Like I said, a lot of ones play. I think the Battle for Pines is coming up relatively soon. So that'll be electric. But
I want a Park Circle event.
Yeah. Now, Silas Selects.
In the Mott's box.
End of a shark.
All right, Con, shark.
Interesting. Oh, because we've been talking a lot about sharks. He's going for that like.
I'm not.
Oh,
I'm thinking about there's a lot of sharks out there right now.
I was giving you some credit. I think he went in so quick that I feel like he didn't even reach behind anything to grab something.
Dude, don't try to get in Silas's head, man. It's a scary
I'm following
place in
Silas.
there.
I'm walking outside. I'm going over to the disc.
I'm so tall. I'm
really tall.
It's raining at my head, but it's dry at my
head
feet.
on a lightning bolt.
I want to arrive.
I'm going to take.
Arrive.
Okay.
I'm going to take an inner core.
This is crazy, dude.
It's an alien.
Oh my
gosh,
I had such a good feeling about it this week. I
close.
thought I got it. I had such a good feeling.
We weren't even close.
Dang, whenever I was thinking
Dude,
shark, I
Silas
was
is
thinking
so
like a
good at
shark
this.
on
He's
another
he's
planet.
a
So
dog,
good.
man.
How does he know?
How does he do it?
How does he know what we're gonna
How
do
does Silas
and guess
keep
and do
winning
something
every
different?
I was like
time?
sensing. I was
He's
like
incredible.
sensing like not on ground.
You know,
but I was
honestly-
thinking ocean, but it was actually outside.
Aliens.
Yeah.
Dang
You know,
it.
honestly, the Alien's a phenomenal disc to use Foundation Care on. Very
Yeah.
weird disc. You know, fun to throw, unique. You might be kind of scared to buy
Fly's
it.
really nice.
But you
fly's
won't want to
great.
commit to it.
Yeah, it's a terrifying one to commit to an online purchase of, but now with Foundation Care, if you're in the U.S., you ain't got to. Head to FoundationDisc.com, and we'll see you in the next episode of Grip Locked.